And Ziling, of course, came from China.
Yes.
A few days ago, from the city of Chengdu.
Yes, where you launched the fintech book in China.
Exactly, where we launched the fintech book in China. So we were half a year ago. I was in China for the first time after many, many years to launch our fintech book in Mandarin. And I was in Chengdu. And I must say I had not heard about Chengdu before. I know Beijing, I knew Shanghai, but I did not know how beautiful Chengdu was. And Chengdu is famous globally for one animal. Which one do you think it is? Panda. Exactly, it's a famous panda. So it's a beautiful city, famous, worldwide for its pandas, but of course for much, much more.
Yes.
So maybe, Ziling, if you could tell us a little bit more about Chengdu and the whole province as well.
Oh, well, may I introduce my background? So I'm from China, and I am the VP of Zeng China. It's a fintech group company, and today I'm also representing the Sichuan Association of Fintech. It's a social organization composed by experts, scholars, government departments, and business under the supervision of Sichuan provincial government. Several years ago, I was dealing problems between financial intermediaries and financial institutes. There was a big problem, cannot be solved. And then come blockchain, I realized it can solve my problem. And I do believe many of you sitting here today realize the same thing. We are dreaming a future that the world is connected with blockchain, with some real applications. What's the inventor of blockchain with the Japanese name? Yes. He wrote his paper in 2008 under the background of financial crisis. So it was the idea of anti-government. But I think today, in our way of pushing blockchain technology forward, we are facing so many problems. The absence of government is a reason, I believe. So we need government to provide public services in the blockchain community. It cannot be done by just business. So that's the reason we today established Sichuan Association of Fintech. There are government roles and scholar roles in this that can communicate with government, scholar, and business. Yes, I think there's another idea. We say blockchain is a consensus of algorithms. Why today's world we don't have a consensus in many ways? I think there's an idea. It's not technology. There's an idea. We have to build consensus of people first. That's you and you today, our community. If we can agree to do together to do one thing, in this way, we can achieve our dream. That's what I am thinking about.
I agree, Ziling, and I think it's what you wrote in the book, because Ziling wrote about blockchain in the book, about the very important topic about blockchain technology and how to issue securities on the blockchain. Yes. So very forward-thinking, and very strategic focus. And can you tell us a little bit more about the chapter and what your thoughts were?
Yes, this article is in chapter 5, blockchain issues. You know that. So my article name is called Issuance and Investing of Financial Instruments Distributed in Blockchain. So let me tell by a case. If there's a public fund in China that invests another hedge fund in the US, that fund invests alternative assets or some real estate assets. So if there is a default, the information of default will pass through layers of financial intermediaries and finally to the investor. But this flow of information is very slow. That's the reason why the financial crisis came. The price does not reflect the risk. So we need to build a blockchain network to let the information flow through every financial intermediary from base asset to investors. But many of us, I believe you are thinking about this, but we didn't achieve this. It's because we, the people, are not working together. We are working inside one country, inside one community. But today, we, thanks to the FinTech Circle, our people are coming together from all over the world. I believe we can build a community to push this thing forward together.
No, I totally agree, Ziling. And I remember when I was in China in October, I was invited to be there as a judge for a fintech competition where fintech startups pitched to us judges, and about half, 2/3 were Chinese fintech companies, 1/3 were international fintech startups. And I remember I had this simultaneous translation in my ear. I had Mandarin on one ear, and English on the other side. And I had to judge, which fintech companies were the best companies to win the competition. This was in Chengdu in October last year. And at that time already I realized, how advanced China is, in fact. Because when I worked for Morgan Stanley in Hong Kong, in 2004, at that time, I did not understand yet. There was not so much development. But now when you go back, all the AI experts, the blockchain experts, the scientists, it's just an incredible, huge market. And in terms of, Sichuan province, which you look after, the new association of fintech has been, like you said, it's a combination of various stakeholders, so the government, the private side, the startups, investors, to work together. And how can we work with you? Because there are lots of people here in the room who like to work with China and who like to either, maybe work with Chinese banks, who like to maybe find investors in China, who like to invite Chinese fintech companies to come to us, to the UK, and operate here and service our banks. So how could we work together? What is your thoughts, for the audience?
Yes, my thoughts. Unlike Europe is a fragmented market. That's the meaning of European Union, to unify the different countries. But China is a single large market, like the US. So if you would enter China, so that's a huge population, a huge scale of areas. There are many opportunities for you to do. When you come to Chinese market, our association is a connection between the government, the business, the research, the startups, investors. So we will help you to understand the environment of China and find the people you are interested to speak to. You may not know whom to speak to. So we help you to find the people you may be interested. Yes.
Excellent.
Yeah, and I think there are possibilities between China and UK, including communications of government and stakeholders, any kind, and talent exchanges. Yeah, we can bring startups to China for road shows in both ways. Yeah, from UK or anywhere to China, and China to anywhere else. Maybe perhaps with cooperation with the FinTech Circle.
That sounds excellent, Ziling. Definitely we are all for, we are totally in for this collaboration. And that's why we are planning the FinTech Bridge Conference, which we spoke to before, because as you know, there's something which is called Economic Financial Dialogue. It's called EFD, which the UK government and the Chinese government do once a year. It's an EFD meeting, which is like a one day where the finance minister from China and the UK Chancellor of the Exchequer meet and discuss about the future of finance in both countries. And last year in December, this meeting took place in Beijing.
Yes.
This year, this meeting will take place in London. And during this week, where the finance government will be in London, we are planning the FinTech Bridge conference between China and the UK in order to allow, all our companies here to meet with the Chinese government officials, Chinese banks, Chinese financial services players, and the investors as well, in order to find these collaborative opportunities to work together. And we're also planning a deal signing boardroom where we've got, literally in front of the flags where people can sign their MOUs and their cooperation agreements. So that's something which we're planning. So if anybody of you is interested to participate, please come and speak to Ziling. And come to me, and we can help you and talk to you more about that. So now just final question, Ziling, for you.
Yes.
So when you look at China, the opportunity in terms of artificial intelligence, blockchain is enormous. Your prime minister, your premier, I think I was reading over the New Year's Christmas holidays, he was reading a book on fintech even, So it's a very much on the agenda for the government.
Yes.
So can you summarize to us a little bit, what is the strategy for China in fintech, if that's possible?
What is the
strategy? What is the goal, of China in the financial technology space? And
well, I may not eligible to speak for China as government, but I may share some thoughts. I think, speaking of China, many of you may know there are giant fintech players in China, but we can compete with them with diversity. Yes, we in different. If you provide different experience, like Alibaba, his Alipay, this payment is to customers, but we can do something to business. Like what we are doing now, we are doing our aggregation payment. That combines Alipay, WeChat Pay, or Bank Pay. This is diversity. This we are doing with a different way. That's a way of competition with those giant players. Yes. And speaking of AI and blockchain, this kind of technology starts from outside China, in Europe and United States. But nowadays, China has very large amount of developers in AI and in blockchain. Yeah, much more than Europe, really. Yes, because the base of population. But I think there are opportunities with if you do it business in a different way. I think there are opportunities. And I think when I come to UK and Europe, I see business here, startups here are very active. They have different thoughts. That's very good. I think this is advantage for Europeans, for European companies to compete in China. That's opportunity. And maybe last words. Welcome to China.
Thank you very much, Ziling.
Thank you.
Thank you. So with that, I would like to thank all of you for coming and joining us today to celebrate the launch of the book. I would like to thank all our speakers, and I would like to thank my co-editor, Thomas Buschmann. And I also would like to thank all authors, who came here for today to meet with all of you and to celebrate the global launch of this best-selling book. And with that said, I would like to invite you now for a few more drinks and canopies outside and for lots of networking, because I'm sure there are lots of things you all want to talk to each other, and there are lots of opportunities to work together as well. So thank you all for coming. And at the end, don't forget, these are the books here, all signed. We put them all at the front, at the reception, after in an hour or 2 hours time, when you leave, you can take it with you and take one copy home of those signed copies. Thank you very much.